The quick photos, please.
Oh.
Perfect.
Lexus's entry into the compact saloon sector, the IS goes up against some seriously good Teutonic rivals like the 3 Series, the C-Class and the A4. But don't write it off as just another saloon yet, because this one is quite different. You see, while most cars in its class typically drink from the black tap, the IS has no diesel option whatsoever. Instead, it's got a hybrid. A bit weird? Well, yeah, but that's made it a godsend for business drivers, and in a world where the future of diesel is becoming increasingly in doubt, it's a decision that's starting to look kind of inspired. It's quite a cool thing to look at as well, particularly this newly facelifted version with its big wheels, sleek lines and large origami grille. Each car in its segment has something that makes it uniquely appealing in its own way, and the IS's is that it's almost insolently different. But different enough to beat the Germans? The interior is much like Lexus's whole shtick really, in that some people will really love it and other people will absolutely hate it. So what about this one? Well, I'm not sure that the beige leather and these slightly stuffy pinstripe wood inserts do it many favours, but it's certainly different and it proves that there's life beyond the cookie cutter leather and chrome of the German execs. New for 2017 on this car is a couple of little changes to make the cabin, where you're likely to spend quite a lot of time, just that bit more livable. So for example, the aircon panel is now padded so you don't bang your knees off it like you used to in the old one. There's a bit more room for things like your smartphone, while the love-hate infotainment mouse now comes with enter buttons to make it easier to select things. Speaking of infotainment, the screen on this Premier trim, which houses integrated sat-nav, has grown from 7 inches to 10 inches. And there's also plenty of equipment like all-round parking sensors, DAB radio, a reversing camera and an upgraded speaker system. As well as that, the IS has a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating and plenty of standard safety kit like autonomous emergency braking, while Lexus consistently ranks towards the top of manufacturers' lists in terms of reliability. So no worries there then. Compared against its chief rivals, the IS is broadly similar in terms of rear space. This model is bigger than the last and the front seat's thinner as well, so legroom's pretty good, and headroom's not bad either. Where the hybrid does lose out, however, is in terms of boot space. You see, because the batteries are beneath the floor, it loses out 30 litres of space compared to the petrol IS. That means it's got 450 litres of boot space in all, but the slightly awkward shape does hamper its practicality. Overall, the IS is a pretty good car to drive. It's grippy enough and it's fairly agile as well. Certainly it's not averse to the odd brisk A-road, but where it really shines is in its long distance ability. It's really smooth to drive, and the fact that it's a hybrid as well means that it's more refined than even the most whisper-quiet diesel or petrol, while still being economical. Lexus says that it can return up to 67.3 miles per gallon with just 94 grams per kilometre of CO2, depending on options and trim, although realistically you're probably likely to get closer to the high 40s to mid 50s. It wafts up the road under electric power, with a 2.5 litre engine only kicking in as and when is needed and when the battery gets low. The steering is nicely weighted, the CVT gearbox is fuss-free, and as motorway mile munchers go, this one is very nice to drive indeed. Is it sporty? Well, no, but then you didn't really need me to tell you that, did you? After all, it's never going to handle like a 3 Series or an XE. Power output is a fairly modest 220 brake horsepower, while 0 to 62 miles per hour takes a leisurely 8.4 seconds, so it's not terribly quick, but then that's not what most buyers will want. There is the option of the 242 brake horsepower petrol, but then the higher running cost will probably offset the benefit of performance for most people. There is also an F Sport trim, but again, I'd probably avoid it unless you absolutely need the sportier touches, as the stiffer suspension largely makes a mess of what is otherwise a very relaxing and very serene car to drive. So, how much will one of these cost? Well, the IS starts on $29,995, while this Premier model starts on $38,995. Quite pricey then, but then again, find me an executive saloon that doesn't tip the scales towards the higher end of the 30k mark, especially once you've optioned it up. The running costs of the hybrid do also make it attractive, and yes, while you could get a 3 Series or an A4 for less, you probably won't want to. You see, the IS is sort of like the ultimate distillation of what Lexus is all about in one compact saloon package. Great to look at, nice to drive, probably quite nice to own as well, and perhaps most importantly of all for buyers, it's not German. But if you would like to learn more about the Lexus IS300H, you can click on the link on screen now. To watch another video, you can click on this link, and if you haven't subscribed yet, well, what are you waiting for? Link's right there.
Ha ha!